Hello everyone, welcome back, hope all is well. I am back with more video game stuff. This time I will be covering the history of the video game Doom. Its story, its start, and some special bits about its development. So, let's get started, on we go! The very first Doom was released by id Software in 1993. Just 18 months after they released Wolfenstein 3D to great success. Both these games revolutionized the first-person shooter genre, but I'm not talking about Wolfenstein today. I'm talking about Doom. Doom came out to critical acclaim. It was faster than Wolfenstein, gorier, and scarier. Probably thanks to it almost being an Alien game. Yes, that Alien. The original development of Doom was actually for a licensed Alien game, but unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, it was unable to get the license. All it had to do was reskin the game, and they had Doom. Another fun fact about the very first Doom was that it was the first FPS to have angles that weren't right angles or perpendicular. It also just so happened to be the first proper multiplayer FPS. Now, on to the story. Warning, big spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch this video at all. The first Doom, well, was a little short on story, at least in the actual gameplay. Instead, it was made to show off its technological advancements, such as sloping floors, dynamic lighting, and even windows into currently inaccessible levels, all of which had never been seen before. The story consisted of, you play as an unnamed space marine, who over time became known as Doom Guy, who is incarcerated on Mars for assaulting a superior officer at the home of the UAC, Union Aerospace Corporation, a massive conglomerate. The military, being the UAC's largest supplier, is allowed to perform secret experiments on Mars's moons. During these experiments, they open portals to hell, and demons come rushing through, destroying everything in their path. Soon after, one of the moons, Deimos, disappears. Once that happened, all space marines on Mars, including Doom Guy, are sent to the other moon, Phobos. Soon after arriving on Phobos, all other space marines are killed, while Doom Guy secures the perimeter. Alone and unable to escape due to the ship being too damaged to take off, it turns to Doom Guy to deal with the demons at hand and find a way off Phobos. Doom 2, which came out the following year, 1994, again didn't have any real story in the gameplay, or much new tech. What it did have, however, was one of the first stable online multiplayer modes. The story, like the first Doom, was mostly written in the game manual, back when they had those, and continues the story of the first. After escaping Phobos, Doom Guy gets back to Earth, only to find it overrun with demons. A plan is conducted to evacuate the remaining population of Earth via spacecraft. However, the only way the crafts can leave Earth, the starport, is overrun with demons, protecting it with a force field. What soldiers remain are sent to free the port. But, like in the first game, only Doom Guy survives the first few hours. After disabling the force field and allowing humanity to escape, Doom Guy finds the source of the demonic invasion, his very own hometown. He heads home to eradicate the demons, along the way finding another portal to hell. He jumps in to try and close the portal, fighting the Icon of Sin in order to do so. Upon defeating the Icon, Hell is devastated and the portal closes. Doom 64, named for its release on the Nintendo 64 in 1997, was the first Doom not to be released by id Software. It takes place following Doom 2, and like all Doom games, this next one is faster, grittier, and gorier. After defeating the Icon of Sin, Doom Guy is back on Earth for a well-needed rest. Far off, an old relay satellite sends its last horrific message to Earth about immense energy ratings. A new Hell portal has opened, and Doom Guy is sent to deal with the situation. Again. In Hell, he tears through the usual hordes of demons, then finds the Mother of Hell, and defeats her. With all demons in the area along with the Mother of Hell defeated, Doom Guy breathes a quick sigh of relief, before continuing to wreak havoc on Hell. The Mother's sister, Resurrector, finds him and kicks him out of Hell before trying to kill him. She fails, however, and he fights his way back to Hell to kill her. On to Doom 3, released in 2004, and unlike its name suggests, is actually a complete retelling of the original Doom, kind of like the new Final Fantasy VII. This entry strayed away from the fast-paced shooter of the previous games. For this one, they tried to make it more of a horror survival, like Dead Space. However, from what I've seen, this change didn't work out so well. Even if it were a standalone game, it looks more mediocre, let alone for a Doom title with an already established pace to its gameplay. The idea was there, the execution was just a little off the mark. This game also has nothing to do with the overall lore of Doom, so I'll just skim through it. Before the game starts, the UAC finds artifacts on Mars. Some of these artifacts contain knowledge of teleportation tech, so the UAC starts remaking the tech. They make a teleporter, then discover that it is instead a portal to a different dimension, which of course is hell, and soon the facility starts having light and energy problems. The game starts with Elliot Swan and his bodyguard Jack Campbell arriving on Mars for damage control, along with Doom Guy. Soon after, all hell breaks loose, literally, and demons come flooding into the base through the open portal. Doom Guy reaches communications to send out a distress signal, then Swan interrupts, saying don't send the message. At the same time, Doom Guy is being ordered to send the message. The choice is up to the player. Doom Guy then goes through the portal into hell itself. Finds a thing called a soul cube being protected by the Guardian of Hell. Kills the Guardian, gets back to Mars. Back on Mars, there is another bigger portal. He finds Swan, seriously injured, who tells Doom Guy that the demons want Earth. He then runs off, finds Campbell, near death, explaining that Sergeant Kelly, who is in league with the demons, is no longer human and stole his BFG 9000. The BFG is one of the most iconic weapons of the series. He then dies. Doom Guy then kills Kelly with the BFG. Then Doom Guy, I've really gotta find something better to call him, comes across an archaeologist who tells him the Soul Cube is the only thing that can close the portals to Hell. Doom Guy gets to where the cube was originally found and finds Hell has taken over, and the Cyber Demon protecting the gate to Hell. With the help of the Soul Cube, the Cyber Demon is defeated before the cube itself seals the Hell Gate. Days later, Doom Guy is found to be the only survivor of the whole mess. Yes. That's the short version. Now on to Doom 2016, released on May 13th, 2016. This one started out as Doom 4, production announced in 2007. And then it entered development hell, from which very few games make it out, and the ones that do are rarely ever worth it. Luckily though, this is one of those extremely rare times, and the wait was well worth it. The gameplay went back to the roots of the original Doom, being a fast-paced, rip-and-tear shooter with action around every corner. And this time there was a soundtrack to match. Heavy metal background music to get you in the mood to shred some demons and battle the armies of hell. This game was also a bit of a soft reboot as well, possibly a result of the development hell, so there won't be any familiar faces. The game is set on Mars, again, in a UAC facility, again. The facility is being invaded by demons, again. Our Marine awakens within the UAC facility chained to a sarcophagus as a demon is coming towards him. This is different. He breaks out and smashes the demon's skull before finding his old Praetor suit and putting it on, having a flashback to imagery of hell as he puts his helmet on. When he tries to find the origin of the invasion on the nearest computer, he is told it can't be found due to a satellite dish being offline. So he heads out to bring it back online, but not before basically being offered a deal by a Dr. Samuel Hayden, one of the few survivors, and smashing the computer just to shut him up. In the elevator, Dr. Hayden tries again, this time by explaining why they were looking at hell. He is unable to do so, however, because the Doomslayer, as he is now called, thank goodness, I'll just be calling him Slayer from here on out, punches the control board for the elevator. Upon leaving the elevator, there is a hologram saying, "Welcome to the UAC, now 221 accident-free days," as carnage can be seen everywhere. 221 accident-free days. Right. While going through the now blood-painted facility, Slayer comes across recordings of a Dr. Olivia Pierce scattered around, showing her becoming fixated on hell and deliberately trying to open a portal to hell, which is what caused the current situation. When he tries to turn on the satellite, he is met with a pre-recorded message from Dr. Pierce saying that the rumors about what she's done are true and hints at what is to come. Slayer finally gets the satellite dish back online, only to be blocked by Hayden. who is now revealed to be a cyborg. After coming to an agreement, Hayden tells the facility AI, Vega, to give Slayer the information he wants and help him on his journey. The damage to the base is catastrophic. Over 60,000 casualties and 64% of the base personnel turned into monsters from a hell wave that swept through the facility. Hayden calls all of this the cost of progress. Lovely guy. It is soon obvious that Pierce and Hayden are the only survivors in the entire Mars UAC facility. Pierce begins working on opening a permanent portal to Hell, using the facility's Argent energy tower, so Hayden directs Slayer to disable the tower to stop it. In order to do this, Hayden tells Slayer to carefully remove the supply cases, but Slayer being Slayer, just destroys the cases and their lenses despite the protests from Hayden. As it turns out, the Argent energy is actually Hell energy, endless, renewable energy when filtered. And Slayer, by destroying the supply cases and their filters, is making it completely unusable. At the top of the Argent Tower, Pierce, in order to open the portal manually due to the tower being shut down, ruptures an Argent accumulator and jumps into the energy stream, opening a portal to Hell and pulling Slayer through it. Landing in Hell, Slayer hears a voice saying, "He is here." Kind of ominous, isn't it? During Slayer's rampage through Hell, he comes across these runes that, when interacted with, tell the tale of one who stood against the demons. His ravenous hatred led him to choosing a path of torment, and the demons naming him the Doomslayer, as well as mentioning him wearing the crown of the Night Sentinels. Another rune continues the story, telling of how the Seraphim gave the Slayer great power and speed, also mentioning that the Slayer is unbreakable, incorruptible, and unyielding in his quest to destroy Hell. Guiding Slayer's way through Hell are old hologram recordings of Hayden's first expedition through Hell, eventually leading to Hayden finding the Slayer in the sarcophagus he woke up chained to at the start of the game within Hell. Returning back to Mars, Hayden calls saying the tower was destroyed, so they can't close the portal on that side, and that the Hell energy comes from a place called the Well, back within Hell. Hayden then calls Slayer to his office, and upon arrival applies a tether system to Slayer's suit in order to pull him out of Hell if needed. His office also looks to be the only place within the UAC facility that is untouched by the demon invasion. Within Hayden's office, he proceeds to explain about a large artifact that bears the same rune as is on the Slayer's helmet, called the Helix Stone. He explains how the Helix Stone gave them the info needed to use the Hell energy, and that it is locked away in Pierce's private lab, and that it may be needed to close the portal. So off he sends Slayer to go get it, as well as pointing Slayer in the direction of the armory, where he finds the BFG. When he finally reaches the Helix Stone, he learns of the Crucible, a Hell artifact and weapon, as well as its location within Hell. This requires opening another portal, which requires rupturing another Argent reactor, which is located within a cyber demon now wandering the facility. After tearing the Argent accumulator out of the cyber demon's chest, it ruptures, transporting them to Hell, where the demon gets back up and Slayer has to kill it properly this time. Back in Hell, Slayer comes across more runes, telling of how in order to try and stop the Doomslayer, a titan of great strength arose to face him, but was defeated, and the armies of Hell were stopped in their tracks. It also tells that someone who would not be named gave Slayer his armor that was forged in Hell. Once Slayer retrieves the Crucible, he sees what looks like holograms of armored people before being pulled back to Mars by Hayden. Here it is decided to kill Vega and use his power to send Slayer to the Well to close the portal. Since Vega cannot self-terminate, Slayer has to do this. And by the way, Vega, despite being an emotionless AI, is a little sassy, and it's wonderful. After sacrificing Vega and getting back to Hell yet again, Slayer closes the Well using the Crucible, and then finds more of those holograms of the armored people, before finding Pierce as she's turned into the Mastermind. After defeating her, Hayden pulls Slayer back to Mars again, takes the Crucible, and sends Slayer off to who knows where, ending the game. And now on to the final game thus far, Doom Eternal, released on March 19th, 2020. Set only 8 months after Doom 2016, opening with a pan over Mars to show Earth, the moon shattered and destroyed, voices calling out, almost documenting the destruction of Earth as the demonic presence spreads. Cries of help can be heard as Doomslayer, returning from who knows where, watches on from his fortress satellite that is being controlled by the backup of Vega Slayer made before killing him back in Doom 2016. Earth has been overrun with demons and is now under the control of a now very corrupt UAC. 60% of the Earth's population has been wiped out, and those that survived either escaped off-planet or came together to form ARC, a resistance group formed to try and stop the demonic invasion. Slayer is looking for the Hell Priests, finding one in what was once New York. He kills the Hell Priest and heads off to find the other two. Finding them, he discovers they are serving the Con Maker, who is wanting to sacrifice humanity. But before Slayer can eliminate the other two Hell Priests, the Con Maker teleports them away, before appearing herself to tell Slayer that he can't stop what's coming, as he teleports away back to his satellite. Vega tells Slayer that he needs a celestial locator in order to find the second Hell Priest, so off he goes to get it. Where he finds it on Exultia, the Sentinel homeworld, there is a large hologram of a long-dead king telling Slayer that what he's doing is against Sentinel law, that continuing will bring the wrath of heaven, and that the human race are not his people to save. Slayer obviously ignores this and heads off to hell to retrieve the power source for the locator. He finds a fallen Sentinel, only known as the Betrayer, who has the power source Slayer needs. As he powers the locator, he tells Slayer that saving his people will not bring him peace, and warns that it is your people's time to give penance, just as it was mine, as he hands over the powered-up locator and a dagger. Upon getting the locator back to his satellite, Vega sends Slayer off to the Arctic where the second Hell Priest is hiding. On the way to kill the Hell Priest, Slayer finds his super shotgun, another iconic weapon of the series. But in order to get it, he must take control of a Revenant drone, basically a demon whose brain has been hijacked. This super shotgun, though, has been upgraded with a meat hook that allows Slayer to grab demons and bring himself closer to them. Fun times. During Slayer's rampage through the facility on his way to the Hell Priest, it taunts him, telling Slayer that it's his fault the human race is suffering as he was the one who brought the demons to the Con Maker's attention. After Slayer kills the Priest Guardian, an Agadon hunter, he kills the second Hell Priest, and the Con Maker hides the last Hell Priest somewhere Slayer and Vega cannot locate on their own. Changing tactics for a time, Slayer heads to the original site of the demonic invasion, the Super Gore Nest, which is somewhere in Europe. And Vega tells Slayer that Ark has been driven out after a long, hard battle with the demons. After destroying the nest, Vega suggests that Dr. Hayden can help them find the last Hell Priest. So Slayer heads for the Ark headquarters, where he learns that Ark had gone into hiding after suffering great losses, and Hayden, as the UAC puts it, has fallen. Within the Ark headquarters, Slayer finds audio logs of a Dr. Elena Richardson, who was studying Slayer, and she eventually comes to worship him as a god almost, believing him to be infallible and the only thing that can stop the forces of hell. Once Slayer reaches what remains of Ark, he is given the Crucible. It also turns out that Hayden is partially destroyed, and an Ark scientist tells him that extraction must be done carefully, but Slayer just tears him out. Just after retrieving Hayden's shell, a demonic sentinel known as a Marauder appears, calling Slayer a usurper, and saying that he was never a sentinel. After defeating the Marauder and getting back to his satellite, Slayer uploads Hayden to the satellite. Hayden says that the last Hell Priest is on Sentinel Prime, and that the only way to get there is through a portal within Mars's core. And it's at this point I'm about halfway through the game cutscenes and 5 pages into the script, and I'm wondering what the hell I'm doing. This is a long script, and there's still the DLCs to get through too. Okay, back to the story after that little breakdown. With no immediate way to get to the core of Mars, Slayer decides to use the BFG 10,000. which is housed at a UAC facility on Phobos, where, thanks to the Slayer's reputation, no personnel even try to stop him. After shooting a large hole into Mars, Slayer removes the BFG 9000, powering the 10,000. Unable to properly get to Mars, Slayer uses a cannon to catapult himself to what used to be its surface, in order to access the portal at the core. When he goes through the portal, Slayer is greeted by 2 long lines of armored sentinels, and flashbacks that show this Doom Slayer is in fact the same Doom guy of the earliest games, linking together all the Doom games, except 3. They also show Slayer being found badly injured by the sentinels, and taken before the priests, and being made to fight in a gladiatorial arena. He is also revealed to talk, something he has never done till now. The priests are impressed by Slayer's strength, so they induct him into the Sentinels, while the con maker shows great curiosity about the demons. Back in present day, Slayer finds the last Hell Priest in the old arena, where he then defeats the Priest Guardian, the Gladiator. He then, despite knowing Sentinel laws against spilling Sentinel holy blood on sacred ground, kills the priest and heads back to his satellite. Unfortunately, by the time he gets back to the satellite, the con maker has shut the whole place down in order to prevent Slayer's interference any further. She also reveals a plan to resurrect the Icon of Sin and have it devour the human race. She leaves and sets loose a horde of demons within the satellite. After surviving the Maker's ambush, Slayer uses the demonic crucible's energy to restart his satellite, and heads off to Argent D'Nur to retrieve his own crucible. While there, Slayer gets more flashbacks. This time it's during the Battle of Argent D'Nur. A Maker known as the Seraphim, who had gone rogue, imbued Slayer with great strength, turning Doomguy into the Doom Slayer. After the flashback, Slayer retrieves his crucible and recharges it, then heads back to the satellite where he is directed in the direction of the Maker homeworld Urdak, via the massive hell citadel of Necroval, in order to find the portal to Urdak. While looking for the portal, Hayden explains that the Con Maker had formed an alliance with Hell to create Argent energy. This is done by mass sacrificing human souls. In return for the Con Makers giving demons worlds to invade, the demons give the Con Makers some of the Argent energy, which then allows Urdak to survive. Jumping through the portal, Slayer finds himself in Urdak, an angelic realm compared to everything else seen up till now, and locates the Con Maker in the midst of an awakening ceremony. Crashing the ceremony, Slayer stabs the Icon of Sin's heart with the Betrayer's dagger to destroy it. Without its heart, the Icon is no longer under Maker control. It wakes up and immediately walks through a portal to Earth, destroying the dimensional barrier in the process. With this barrier now gone, the demons break their pact with the Makers and invade Urdak. In order for the Slayer to reach Earth and stop the Icon, Vega is uploaded to the systems on Urdak so he can calibrate a portal to Earth. But as Slayer gets to the portal, he is confronted by the Con Maker, as she explains that they must destroy Earth for Urdak to survive. Great people, these Makers. When Slayer kills the Con Maker, a disembodied voice screams "No!" as Urdak begins to fall into ruin. Slayer then makes his way back to Earth to face the Icon of Sin, leaving Vega behind to keep the portal open. The battle that commences is long and arduous, ending with Slayer plunging his crucible into the head of the Icon and breaking the blade off. The game ends with Slayer walking off as the King of the Sentinels says that his fight is an eternal one. And now on to the DLCs. Finally, almost done. There are 2 that I will be talking about, but these 2 are actually just 2 parts of the same one. And they are the Doom Eternal Ancient Gods Parts 1 and 2, and I will talk about them together with no distinction between them. The DLCs follow after the end of Doom Eternal and the death of the Icon of Sin. Even though Slayer beat back the demons halting their invasion of Earth, after the death of the Con Maker, Hell was given the opportunity to take control of Urdak, restart their invasion of Earth, and invade all other dimensions. Wanting to prevent this, Slayer, with the help of Dr. Hayden and ARC scientists, sets off to find and free the Seraphim, the one who gave Slayer his incredible strength, to get his help. Upon finding the Seraphim, which was being held by the UAC, Hayden uploads himself to its containment pod, revealing himself to in fact be the Seraphim. When they get back to Ark, the Seraphim/Hayden is very weak and unwell. He sends Slayer off to retrieve the father's life sphere, don't ask, from the blood swamps in Hell, so they can get him back to physical form. At reaching the blood swamps, Slayer decides to instead destroy the father's life sphere and grabbing the Dark Lord's, yes really, life sphere. When Slayer returns to Ark, most of the personnel run off after seeing the Dark Lord's life sphere. Only one intern stays to help Slayer get to Urdak, a little enthusiastically, might I add, thinking that Slayer's plan is to resurrect the Dark Lord, then destroy it, thus killing all other demons outside of Hell. Upon reaching the now corrupted Urdak, Slayer finds that Vega has become the father after being left behind in Doom Eternal's main game. Slayer then goes towards a place called the Luminarium, where those who have a life sphere can activate it. He is confronted by the Seraphim Hayden, who has now turned demonic after being consumed by the corruption of Urdak. After defeating the Seraphim, the father teleports him away, allowing Slayer into the Luminarium, where he resurrects the Dark Lord despite warnings that doing so is irreversible. This is where we get a real shock. As the Dark Lord takes the form of whatever the demons view as the strongest being, he takes the form of the Doom Slayer. And now we get a good look at Slayer's face, although it's in Dark Lord form. Immediately after the Dark Lord has taken physical form, Slayer shoots him point blank with the super shotgun. But it does nothing, since not just Urdak but the Luminarium as well are holy places, and so no blood can be spilled there. The Dark Lord then leaves through a portal while telling Slayer that he will meet him in the city of Amora, if Slayer survives, that is. Slayer then teleports to somewhere I'm not completely sure of, but upon arrival there, the father says that to get to Amora, Slayer has to go through the Gate of Devum, but it has to first be powered with the Wraith's Crystal. On the way to the World Sphere, where the Wraith's Crystal is held, Slayer comes across a hologram of the Betrayer, now called Commander Valen, and he thanks Slayer for lifting his son's curse and gives him a Sentinel Hammer. It is explained in internal lore that Commander Valen's son was in fact the Icon of Sin. Continuing to the World Sphere, Slayer comes upon a large torch. He's told by the father that it's the Torch of Kings, and that lighting it signifies a warrior is seeking passage to the World Sphere. And with that, Slayer lights it. The father then explains that the Hell Priest forbade the use of the torch, and that if there are any free tribes left within Argent Denor, they will see the light and know what Slayer is doing. He then takes a dragon-like creature to the base of the World Sphere, completely foregoing the day's walk it would have taken otherwise. At the true base of the World Sphere is an impassable lake, where the father announces that Slayer is worthy, and with that, a large bridge emerges out of the water, allowing him to cross. Entering the World Sphere, the enthusiastic intern says that the place is giving off extremely high energy readings, even more than Urdak. Reaching the top of the World Sphere, Slayer retrieves the Wraith's Crystal from what appears to be an ancient Maker ship. Slayer then teleports to somewhere close to the Gate of Devum. Again, not sure where. It's either an abandoned UAC or Ark facility. Going through the Gate of Devum, Slayer gets to Amora where all demon kind is at the Dark Lord's command. It's at this point things go full Avengers Endgame as a bunch of portals open, bringing a ton of sentinels through them for full-scale war. Slayer fights his way to the Dark Lord, and just as Slayer reaches him, the Dark Lord takes off in a ship heading for his sanctum. A sentinel ship gets Slayer and takes him to the entrance of the Dark Lord's sanctum. When Slayer finally faces the Dark Lord is in full armor that turns him into more of a beast. Halfway through the fight, the Dark Lord and the Father explain that the Dark Lord was the first being, and that he created the Father. So the Dark Lord is a little angry and still holding a grudge after all this time believing he was betrayed. After a long fight, the Dark Lord is defeated, but not dead yet. Knowing he is about to die, the Dark Lord asks if Slayer has anything to say to his creator. Slayer removes his helmet, stabs the Dark Lord, and says no. This is a bit of a big deal because in Doom Eternal's main game internal lore, it can be found that Slayer took a vow of silence after being given his strength from the Seraphim. After the Dark Lord dies, Slayer starts to feel a little funny and passes out after the father says, "By his hand all things were made, even you." Slayer wakes back up momentarily to find himself surrounded by makers as they seal him away in a sarcophagus within the blood swamps. The whole thing ends with these words: "May the blood of your sword never dry, and may we never need you again." Corax, entry 717. And that's everything thus far. Not exactly how I thought it would end, but hey. With the end of Ancient Gods Part 2, I honestly don't know if there's going to be any other Doom. At least, not within this universe. I don't think. It'd be incredibly difficult for them to do that. So with that, the story is done. The script is just about done. There's maybe only about 1 to 2 more sentences to go with this. 7 whole pages of script. This is the longest one I've written so far. Makeup's also done. I tried to do sort of a rusty thing, but I don't think it ended up too well. But hey, it's demons, so it doesn't really matter. It looks more or less okay. It's a bit more muted on screen, so... Anyway, I won't hold you any longer. This has been a really long one, so I will see you all next week. Bye!